1, 2, 3, sing!
Stand symbol Zambia, proud and free, land of work and joy.
And my friend, Archbishop.
Yeah, so Kaunda was the founding father of Zambia. He was the first president, and he started out like all or many other first presidents in newly independent African countries, as focusing much more on Pan-Africanism than on what was actually going on within Zambia. He had a good vision, a long-term vision for his country, but due to falling commodity prices or oscillating commodity prices and bad management, it turned out that like 30 years or 25 years down the line, when MMD took power, the country was totally run down. It was one-party state. There was absolutely no opposition, and so on and so forth.
It's their mistake. That's why there's confusion now in Zimbabwe, because of their mistakes.
You talk about confusion in Zimbabwe. What do you mean by confusion?
Well, the shortages and all that type of thing.
Can that single-handedly be blamed on the legacy that the British left? Do you think that President Mugabe's government have made any mistakes whatsoever?
Well, we all make mistakes as human beings. Whatever mistakes they've made should not be blamed on them. They are as a result of the major mistakes made by the British. That's what I'm saying.
Well, the government and governance has changed in Zambia. As I said previously, when Kaunda came into power in '64, this was a democratic state. He soon faced, or at least he felt that he faced opposition and turned it into a one-party state, a dictatorship. He said that this was just for a short period of time, and then he would open up again. He never opened up again. Only when he was forced to by the international financial institutions, the IMF and the World Bank, telling him, if you do not open up, if you do not have regular multi-party elections, we're going to stop all aid to you. Chiluba, who came into power in 1991, he was backed by all the foreign donors, by the international financial community. Everybody loved him. He was like he was perceived as being part of the new Africa, part of the new democratic Africa, but it soon turned out that he used his new powers just to make Zambia even more corrupt. Mr. Corruption in Zambia, Mr. Snakeskin Boots, Mr. Tailored Suits, and unfortunately he also had a large impact upon how corruption, especially large-scale corruption, was perceived by by other presidents and by the political elite in Zambia. The possibilities were there. When he was elected, he came from the trade unions, and when he was elected, I think that he really wanted change. He got support from the outside world. They also wanted change within Zambia, but he had access to so much money from the outside world. You have to remember that in the late Kaunda years, or like from the mid-1980s till 1991, basically all foreign donors, the international financial institutions, they stopped money flowing into Zambia. That we're only going to give you money again once you have a change in regime, once you open up, once you liberalize, once you open up for trade investments. And that was exactly what Chiluba did. So from having hardly any money available, he got lots and lots of money, and nobody really cared. What they cared about was having the changes in policies, and he did that. So I think he just could not, well, he just had so much money available that, and nobody cared whether he put it in his own pocket or not. So he had the potential of doing it. And that, because at first there was no one complaining about Chiluba. Everybody knew that he was big time corrupt. You could see his snakeskin boots and his suits, his houses all over the place, all over the world, all his lady girlfriends and all that. So everybody knew, but nobody complained. So that only afterwards they started complaining when they saw that what Chiluba did with all the money coming in from the outside did not make Zambia a more prosperous country. Is some kind of special personality, because if you look at him now, after some 4.5 years after his death, everybody perceived him as the very good person for Zambia. But when he first came into power, people portrayed him as Mr. Capichet, and thought that his wife was the one doing politics, and he actually wasn't able to deal with politics, that he was stupid. But when he was re-elected in 2006, something changed. So people from 2006 till his death in 2008 actually perceived him to be a person who wanted development for the people of Zambia, who wanted to curb corruption, who wanted to fight Chiluba and all what the former MMD government was standing for. He took over after Little Mwanawasa's death. He was only in power for, what, 2.5 years or so. But unfortunately, during those 2.5 years, he returned to a kind of a regime that Chiluba, the kind of regime under Chiluba, so large-scale corruption once again, big deals with foreign investors, with foreign donors, pocketing most of the money, not caring about the long-term prospects of Zambia's development, but more of the short-term prospects of the political elite. So he was like trying to bring back Chiluba into power, and also the donors, the international community reacted harshly to Banda actually trying to withdraw their money, saying that, well, now copper prices are high, Zambia is approaching middle-income country once again, and it's highly corrupt, so we want to withdraw our money.
What do you see when you look in the mirror?
I see a young man who's just started his own business. My dream has come true.
What do you see when you look in the mirror?
I see a happy mother who has given birth to a healthy baby boy.
And now, you see a farmer who is putting more Zambian-grown food on your table.
Something is something you have seen. I ask you to believe only in what you have seen with your own eyes. Since I was elected in 2008, I have worked for prosperity and stability for all, an education and healthcare system for all, and creating a safer and more peaceful Zambia for all. Let's continue the journey to a better future and go forward to tomorrow's Zambia.
Michael Sata is a bit more difficult. He's definitely one of the old guard. So he was elected on a populistic campaign. He wants to give back the wealth of Zambia to the Zambians. So in that sense, he resembles Kenneth Kaunda to a large extent in the Matera and Mulungushi reforms of 69 and 68 respectively. So he wanted this Zambianization process, but a much more populistic way of looking at it. So basically he had a support base along the line of rail from Livingston to Lusaka to the Copper Belt, and all those urban poor who are either working in the mines for the mines or for companies working for the mines, and they all think that, well, they can see copper prices but their salaries are stagnating. So he was basically elected on this populistic account of giving back money to the Zambians. But so far we haven't seen anything. So it is really hard to evaluate him so far. Well, it's really hard to say whether Sata is the modern version of Kaunda. On the one hand, he's one of the old politicians. He was in Kaunda's government, so he was part of the first ruling party of the unit government. And also, like Kaunda, he has this focus on bringing back the wealth of the nation to the Zambians. So, whereas Kaunda did this via the Zambianization programs of 68 and 69 that did not bring any wealth back to the Zambians, but actually brought wealth back to the state. What Sata is doing now, he was campaigning on a very populist account, bringing the wealth of the copper back to the people who actually dig the coppers from the ground. So in that sense, it's the same kind of campaign. On the other hand, we haven't really seen Sata doing anything, and there's no doubt. I don't think that. I'm absolutely positive that Sata will not nationalize once again. He said during the 2006 and 2008 presidential election campaigns that he wanted to kick the Chinese out because they were paying too little, demanding too hard work, not abiding to international rules and norms relating to workers' rights and so on and so forth. But as soon as he got elected last year, what he did was to send Kaunda to China to tell them that, well, we are all weather friends. So the Kaunda's great friendship with Mao Zedong from China, that was the history that Sata also built it upon, because Sata knows that he needs the investors from the outside. So I think if you look at the wording, they look alike, but there's huge discrepancy, especially in relation to Sata, between what he says and what he's going to do.